Kevin Harrington is the ultimate pitchman, having basically invented the infomercial. Even after 40 years, Kevin is still going strong. An original shark on the TV show Shark Tank, Kevin has what many Business Observer readers strive for: sustained success. To read more about leaders like Kevin, subscribe to the Business Observer. Go to businessobserverfl.com to sign up. Hello, and welcome to the Business Observer's From the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Kevin Harrington, an original shark on the hit TV show Shark Tank, inventor of the infomercial, and longtime St. Pete area inventor. Kevin, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Awesome. We're gonna talk a lot about your career. Before we get into that, I want people to get to know you a little bit, maybe a side they haven't seen of you, with 3 rapid fire questions. We're gonna start it off with, what is the best meal that you cook at home?
I cook a chili it's called a 5-way chili. It's spaghetti, chili sauce, cheese, onions, beans. It is an awesome. I'm from Cincinnati, and there's 150 of these chili parlors up in Cincinnati. One of them in Clearwater, Florida. It's the only one really outside of that. And actually I say there's one in Orlando also, but it's one of my favorites, and it's like comfort food from back in Cincinnati.
Awesome. I'm coming over to your house for dinner. Okay. You maybe even had this on Shark Tank. I don't remember, but if you're coming in your office or coming into work, second question, what's your walk-up song? What song do you want played when they say, "Welcome Kevin Harrington to Monday" at work?
Oh, well, I'll say this. When I did the first season of Shark Tank and the second and into the third, they had the original theme song was pretty cool. It was Boys to Men. It was money, money, money.
Yes,
and so that kind of that always rang in my head. Okay, so I like. That's a good way to start the week, right?
Yes.
What we're working, we're putting time in for what? Money, money, money.
It's a good walk-up song for sure. All right, last rapid fire question. I know you are a routine-driven person from the last time we talked. What is your morning routine, Kevin? When you're at your best, what is your morning routine?
So I like, I live in St. Pete, and also a condo in Clearwater. And my condo in Clearwater's got a nice gym downstairs. And in St. Pete, I was having to go drive 30 minutes to my personal trainer, do an hour, drive 30 minutes back. And I'm like, all of a sudden I got a 3-hour morning, and instead I built a gym in my home. So yeah. I roll out of bed about 4 to 5 days a week. And I'm not like in there an hour, but I'm just enough to get the blood flowing, get the, cobwebs out of my head. It's a good thing to, jumpstart the day. And then I love, I'm going to grab this out of my fridge and I'll show you what I drink every morning. It's that quick because I'm that close.
Yeah.
But this is called Celsius.
Yeah.
And I was on the board for 10 years. I had a 10-year contract. I joined this company in the very beginning when they had a stock that was 10 cents a share, and we took it to literally $300.
Yeah.
We created it peaked. It's well over a $10 billion company now, literally from zero. So one a day makes the pain go away. Okay.
I love it. My 16, almost 17-year-old son drinks Celsius. And I also love that was a spontaneous pitch. And that's a great segue, Kevin, because I was going to ask you, so tell everybody who doesn't know your story, what is the Kevin Harrington story about infomercials and pitching products. What's your elevator pitch about your career?
I'll give you the quick version. I'm one of 6 kids, Cincinnati, Ohio. My father was in the restaurant business, and I worked in his restaurants as a teenager. And after working for a couple of years at $1 an hour and working 35 hours a week, I said, Dad, I'm not, making a lot of money, And he's right. Well, he says, you got to start your own business. So I started a business in high school, and then I had a heating and air conditioning company in college. My freshman year of college, I had 25 employees and 6 trucks going out every day. And so that was successful, but I sold it. And then one day I'm watching I ordered cable TV, and the channel I was watching went dark for 6 hours. And I called the cable company. I said, hey, what's going on? This channel's dark. And they said, oh, they don't have a budget for 24 hours. It's an 18-hour-a-day network. I said, I'll take the other 6 hours. Let's negotiate. So I started, this is back in 1980. I started putting products into this downtime, and from knife sets to kitchen products. These were pitch products. If you ever go to like the fairs, the Iowa State Fair's got more than a dozen pitchmen. One selling knives. Billy Mays was selling OxyClean.
Yes.
So I said,
Mays.
I'm going to start just doing all the deals with all these pitchmen that have all these pitches and products. And before I knew it, I had 100 infomercials. We were doing billions of dollars in sales, just filling the downtime. But we also then went into international distribution. We opened in London, in Saudi Arabia, for Arabic countries, in Latin America, Asian markets. We built this business into 100 countries, 25 languages, dozens of currencies, and it was public all around the world. And that was, a very powerful company. We built it to over $500 million a year in annual sales. Stock went from $1 a share to $20 a share. And that was really my birth in this industry. And in the early days, that's why they call me the inventor, because nobody else was doing it. Okay. And then everybody was doing it, because they're like, wait, if he can, what's he selling a knife set? What's a Ginsu, right? So everybody started copying, and then I sold the company a few years back. But I owned AsSeenOnTV.com, As Seen on TV Inc., and I had launched over 1,000 products over the last 40 some years.
So you've launched all these products, and you've talked to all these entrepreneurs and business owners over your career. What have you learned about good leadership? Kevin, what stands out in your mind that makes good leaders? What are those characteristics?
Well, I think good leaders need to surround themselves with smart people. And I'll say that one of my mistakes early on is I didn't have a budget, because I was a startup. And I'm like, I said, I got enough money just to put into production of infomercials and run them, and I'll worry about counting the money later. But, you do need systems and things like that in place. So I ended up having some issues with our accounting and all of that, because it was sort of like ready, fire, aim. Okay. And so I have a different mentality now, and it's ready, aim, fire, get the right team. And I say that everyone needs really a dream team, because especially if you're a new entrepreneur, you may not know how to do it. You may have never done it. Don't try. Maybe you'll fail. And then, oh, wow, that's devastating. And you already have everyone telling you up front, don't do it. When I first started my first business, because I ended up dropping out of college, my mother was just livid. She couldn't believe it. My older brother graduated with honors, and my sister, summa cum laude and head of the sorority, and my other sister, a school teacher. And then I come along and I'm a college dropout. And, so it's like, I said, I got to do what I got to do, and I know what I want to do. But I then started surrounding myself with experts, and that's when I could focus on what I did best, which was product development, production, creative, in the edit suites, doing the stuff that made the sales pop. I say, I know how to ring the cash register, but now I need other people to show us how to keep that money.
Yeah. Yeah. So surround yourself with smart people. Certainly good
Yeah.
advice. With all the products that you've brought to market, obviously some are going to do better than others and some are not going to do well at all. So, how have you as an entrepreneur responded or dealt with setbacks? With, man, I thought this was going to be a hit and it was a flop. How have you dealt with setbacks?
So in the early days, we took it very hard because we're putting our hard earned money into these productions, and we, fortunately, the first few that we did worked, and so we were off to the races. But then we'd have three or four in a row that wouldn't work, and it's like, oh my goodness, what's wrong with this? We put so much time and money, and then when my son joined me, he got out of Penn State, and he's like, oh, Dad, this one's going to be a home run, and it would bomb, and he's like, how do you deal with this? Well, I learned that what you got to do is learn from your mistakes, learn from the products that didn't work, and find out why, and have a postmortem analysis of that. But the bottom line is that we also don't just give up. We tweak and test and then tweak, and we price test, we move things around. But the bottom line is I finally figured out if I did my first 10 infomercials, we had 3 to 4 of them that worked, 4 to 6 of them that didn't. But the ones that worked were huge, and they were covering all the losses and then some for big profits. And so I said, you know what? Failure is part of my business. This, and then as I researched, thinking, how can I deal with failure in a positive way? And I ran into some things about Winston Churchill, and Winston is an awesome guy back in the day. He said success is being able to go from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. And so, it's hard to be enthused about failing, but get it out of the way. But I learned one important part of this puzzle was fail fast and fail cheap. So in the old days, I failed expensively. Okay. And it's like I'd take 6 months and $250,000 and fail. And that really hurt. When I could do 45 days and $15,000 and fail or succeed, take it to the next step. That was our model. So we in the world of digital has been a savior for us now, because in the old days, we were the as seen on TV guys. We had to put all the money into TV and hope
Right.
that it worked. But
Now you got all these other platforms.
most of them didn't. Now we can test low budget digital, TikTok, Instagram, Meta, Facebook, etc., and we can find out whether we have something pretty early on, and then put the money into it for the ones that have that pulse, if you know what I'm saying, right? So fail fast, fail cheap, but just keep enthused as you go, because you're not going to hit on everything.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, we're getting into the summer here, 2025. What can we expect from you? What are you doing now, and what's your rest of your year looking like? What are you up to?
So what I'm doing, I've had a good success with the beverage business. So we're looking at some beverage things, but I also, had a good couple of years on Shark Tank. And so ever since Shark Tank, and I did the original pilot back in 2009 and was on for a couple of years from there. Ever since then, I've been getting, like clockwork, between 1,000 and 2,000 pitches a month from the market. It just comes, because what happens is people go to apply. 50,000 people a year go to Shark Tank to get on. They only take 300. So 49,700 are like, well, what do I do from here? Oh, wait a minute. There's some good sharks that have been on this show. Let me call them. So I have a program now that I call Spend a Day with the Shark. Come to a shark retreat, and we'll bring 15 companies in. They'll spend a whole day with us. They get, it's morning all through lunch, afternoon into the evening, dinner. We finish at about 11 o'clock at night. It's an awesome full packed day, unpacking the company. We bring about 12 companies per event. We do one of these a month. The next one is in 2 weeks in St. Pete. We just get a hotel downtown, and we we put people in what we call a hot seat, and they're telling us what their issues are, what they need help with. And then we got our whole team of experts around that then dive deep to tell them what they need to be doing and how they should do it. And then sometimes there's some things we can offer these folks along the way. Sometimes we invest, sometimes we get some equity, but this has been very powerful for us getting new clients and new relationships, because they're calling me already. So I invite them in. Let's hang out and see if we can do some business.
This is better. This way you don't have Cuban messing things up or some of those other shark tank. So.
Hey, Mark's done. He's done now. He finished.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Kevin Harrington, original Shark Tank and infomercial inventor, thank you so much for joining us on the From the Corner Office podcast.
Hey, it's been awesome to be here. Good seeing you again, Mark. It's been a while, but, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer From the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordy. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.